Before I had children, I think, like many other people, I thought that babies came into the world like a blank canvas. And when I had my first son, it might have reinforced that thought a little bit. So I had this baby, and to be honest, he was a lot like me. He was personable, he liked a lot of interaction with people. He was probably only like 4 or 5 months old when he found out that if he went like this, it would make everybody laugh, and so he really loved that, and he would do it all the time. And so I really knew how to interact with him. He was very sensitive and very affectionate, and it made a lot of sense to me. And so 2 years later, I had his brother, and then that was the big news, that actually what I've come to believe is that babies come into the world with their personalities already kind of formed, and you just need to watch them unfold. And so my second son was very self-sufficient, had very little need for me, really. I pretty much took care of his basic needs, but otherwise he just really wasn't interested. Didn't need a lot of interaction, didn't need to be held, didn't cry to get anything that he needed. He was just kind of doing his own thing. And I found that a little disconcerting. I didn't quite know how to care for him. I often felt like I wasn't doing enough. But like I said, he kind of just went his own way. So at some point, I realized when he was a toddler that as time went by, and I wasn't really interacting with him a lot because he didn't seem to need or want that, I would realize he would start to get really grouchy, and just really kind of just not really very friendly. And speaking of not friendly, he hated when people would come up and say, "Oh, he's so cute. Oh my gosh, he's so cute." He would growl at people, literally. And so as a mother, I was very protective of that. If he wants to growl at people, it's okay with me. I would just tell him just back off, And when he got a little older and he wouldn't feed into them, but he would be quiet, I'd say we've made a lot of progress. At least he didn't growl at you now. So as he got older, and when he grew up, and we would talk about his personality and kind of what it took for me to learn how to interact with him, and we would laugh about it. And I talked about a lot of things that were very difficult for him. There were a lot of teachers that really didn't like him because he didn't need them either. He was never really disrespectful, but he never feeds into grown-ups. It was just sort of like, "I'm not sure what I need you for. I'll be right over here doing my own thing." So that was very frustrating to teachers that were really, really kind of needy. So when he was little and I realized he would get kind of fussy, I started to do something. One time I just kind of grabbed him and I said, "You just need some loving," and I just squeezed him. And I wasn't sure if it was the right thing to do. I certainly respected his need to be in his own space, but I realized that he liked it. And so I thought, okay, now I just have to figure out how to do this because he doesn't know how to ask for it, but not do it too much. And so I started a tradition. I said, we're just going to have a loving night, one night a week. I'm going to lay in bed with you at bedtime and just be with you. Just be close with you. I'm not going to ask you any questions. I'm not going to talk at you. I'm just going to be with you. And I have to tell you, it was magical. He would start to talk to me, had the most interesting and creative and funny ideas and thoughts that I've really ever been exposed to. And it was just a delight. And you can imagine, of course, I had to do that with his older brother, who's a social monster. So, of course, we had to have love at night, too. So we did that for years. And then eventually, when I divorced their father, we really lost track of it with the chaos of kind of going back and forth to different homes, and they were growing up. And so we just kind of lost track of love at night. And years later, when we were talking about this, my younger son told me that he didn't remember. And you can imagine, it was like a knife through my heart. He didn't remember loving nights. And so I had to figure out what to do with those emotions because I didn't want to hold them against him. He only remembers what he remembers, right? And so I thought about myself, and I thought, I actually don't remember a lot of the things I did with my mother, who was a stay-at-home mom, who everything she did was about taking care of us and providing a safe and nurturing environment. I have more clear memories of my father, who's a very extreme person. So I have memories of him hurting my feelings and scaring me, as well as showing me great adventures and pushing me to be braver than I thought I could be. But I don't really remember that much about my mother and the time that we spent together. So it made me think, when I am kind and good and I remember not to put myself first, it's really a reflection of the time that I spent with my mother. And so I allow myself to believe that that time that I spent with my sons, although they don't remember it, it put an imprint on their soul.